Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about the Blackjack program. Again, it's a little bit longer than some of our normal programs, but it's not too terrible. I'm going to do the full build version so that you can see what's going on, and then I'll show you one that we polished in another class so that you can see other alterations you can make. I left it purposely ambiguous in certain aspects so that you could put a little bit of your own spin on it. But let's look at the finer points. So it's a text-based game. Okay, so it's not depending on pictures, so we need to make sure we tell them as much as possible. But we're going to change the rules a little bit just so that we know that it's a little easier to code. First off, aces, they're only going to be worth 11. We're not going to deal with the whole 1 or 11 thing. It'll get confusing and it'd be very difficult to code at this point. All face cards are worth 10. That's not a change. That's just letting you know. And then numbered cards are their face value. You're actually only playing against the dealer. So it's a two-person game. We're not going to worry about any other pairings. Um, you and the dealer are both dealt two cards first. Those will represent their values from 2 to 11 because we took out the ace as a 1. So the ace is the 11 is the highest. So 2 to 11 is going to be our random range. After you have gone, the player, you are given the chance to hit or stay. Remember, the goal is to get as close to 21 without going over. Once you decide to stay, then it is the dealer's turn. Now, the dealer does not have to program an AI. It doesn't have decisions to make, okay? This is the dealer's rule. When they are lower than 15, they have to take a card. When they are 15 or greater, they cannot take a card. So they still might take more than one, but it's not like they have to make a decision based on what you have or anything else. They have a rule. All right. Then, after both players have gone, notice there's no back and forth. It's player, then dealer. Then we judge them based on who is closer to 21 without going over. Okay. Here's the sample code. I told you didn't have to match it exactly, but it's a good understanding of what all's going on. And the last thing is down here at the bottom. Here's how to create a random object, if you've forgotten. And then this is an example of the code we'll use to get a card every time we draw. All right. So let's take a look. I've got my basic setup here. I've got my skeleton. I've got my import right here. And for the pregame setup, I've gone ahead and made a scanner and a random object. This is just going to help us so that you don't have to see me type every single thing. You'll also notice there's a lot of comments in here because there's a lot of stuff going on. So this is an example of a development cycle, okay? I've read my problem. I've broken it apart into smaller chunks that I can then code. So I need a loop so that they can replay a hand over and over again. That's probably going to be the last thing I put in. You have the player setup, so dealing their cards. Then I have the player options, which is the hit or stay. You've got the dealer setup, their two cards, which technically can be anywhere, but anyway. Then I've got the dealer rule. But because of the nature of the game, I want to ignore the rule if the player busts. It's the risk you take by going first, so that if you bust, I can just say, oop, I win as the dealer. Lastly, we've got our comparisons. Now, this is the part of the code that should already be done. If you kept your file basic blackjack that we made several months ago, you've already coded all 6 possible values. Okay, so that part you may not have to do again. And then this is the second part of the replay loop. You'll have part at the very top, part at the bottom so that it resets. Again, lots of different ways students have been solving this, so I just want to emphasize enough. This is not the only way of doing it. This is just the way I see it. Several different avenues, several different, the same code but jumbled up. It's fine, okay? But this might be a little longer video, just a heads up. Okay, so we'll skip the replay loop for now. Player setup. Okay, so we need them to have 2 cards each, right? Okay, so let's just make a card. And I gave you the code, rng.nextint 10 plus 2. Okay. Okay, remember how random works, okay? So this value right here is the range starting at 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 10 gives us 0 to 9. This value is our minimum value, or our shifting value, or our starting value, whatever you want to call it. So that takes everything and it shifts it up 2 spots. So now my range is 2 to 11, which is the number of card values we have. No, we are not worried about weighting them because there's a lot more 10s now, but we're just leaving it as is. It's simple. I also need to make sure that I have a total for me, the player. And I'll just set that equal to card for now, okay? But I also need to, remember we're text-based, so I need to make sure the dealer knows what's going on, or excuse me, the player. Your first card is, there you go. Now, to get the second card, I basically just copy and I do some other things. So, card is going to be the exact same. This is the special part of the code. That's what actually draws a random number. So every time I draw a card, I need to make sure that code executes. Okay? Now I've already got the first card stored in here, so I'm going to change this with plus equal so that it updates my player value. Okay? And then right here, I just change this to second. All right? Last but not least, I go ahead and solve this. And give them their player total just for the moment, just so they can get a quick grasp of the situation. Okay? Then I'm ready for the player options. Okay. Would you like to hit or stay? Okay, I've got the parentheses, I've got caps in there, I've drawn their eyes to it so that they understand what's going on. So you're going to hit 1 to hit a card, 2 to stay. We're good there. So we'll just call it hit me. Scan dot next in. There you go. There you go. So that's where I ask it, and now's where I'm going to make my first loop, because again, I could want lots of cards. I could want no cards, but I could want lots of cards. So I'm going to make this a while loop just because I don't know how long this will be, so it's safe for us. If hit me is equal to 1. All right. So if they choose to hit, I need to get a card, update their total, check and make sure they haven't busted, and then I need to re-ask the question. So again, I'm just going to steal the card. I'm not going to have different values. I'm just going to redraw the card every time. It's okay. Let's see. Remove this. And now I'll make my threat statements. So you draw a card. Do we want to say new total? Yeah, we'll just repeat what it's up there. Okay, so there's their new card. We've updated their values. We've printed it so that they can see what's going on. Before I ask the question again, this is where I need to do a break test. So if player is over 21, then I just break out. That's it. Okay, that'll kick me out of the loop. I won't ask them this next question, which is, would I like to hit or stay again? Okay. Yes, I asked this outside the loop, but now I'm going to ask it again because I want to see if I want to stay in the loop. Okay. This will take care of them in case they bust. This will take care of them if they choose to hit or stay again. But there is a self-contained while loop. Okay. Next, I've got the dealer setup. The dealer setup is going to be very similar to this, only we're not going to be worried about the setups. Card can still be reused. This time I'm going to have dealer. Okay. And Update this again. There we go. All right, so draw a card, set it equal to the dealer, tell them out, draw a second card, update the dealer, tell them their second card, and then update their total. So there's the whole dealer setup. Okay. Yes, it could be done up there. Again, I'm just giving you my version. All right, so next we have the dealer's rule, but we do have this situation where they shouldn't do anything if the player busts. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to make a while loop, but I'm going to put it inside an if statement first. So if player is less than 22, that's just to make sure that we're still supposed to be playing the game. Okay. Then I have my while loop again, and the dealer's rule states that he is below 15, he has to take a card. So while dealer is less than 15, second curly brackets, and this is where it's going to follow very similar to this. They're going to draw a card, they're going to update it, they're going to print it out. The difference being in that they are not going to ask a question, it's just going to happen. So here's updating the dealer. Sorry. There's updating the dealer. So he draws a card, he updates here, it tells them, and it goes here. As soon as they're over 15, it kicks them out. I'm not too terribly worried about so I'm not terribly worried about them busting because, again, we're going to take care of all of that in the next section where we're comparing everything. Okay, so dealer's rule taken care of here. We only play if the player has not busted. So that's what that's doing. And then I guess we're ready. Okay, so we've got 6 possible comparisons, okay? They both busted, player busts, dealer busts. They could tie, player has high card, dealer has high card. So we just code those. And if you're going to link your if test, if you do them in the proper sequence, then all you have to do is just ask the most specific questions all the way down to the most general questions. So the absolute most specific would be if 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, first one is if they both bust. So if player is over 21 and dealer is over 21. Okay, if player is over 21, oops, forgot to do else's. Because again, we want to link these so that as soon as one value is found, I don't keep testing. And then I guess we'll just do. So player is over 21 and dealer is less than 20. Of the dealer being over 21 and the player being under 22, then you could have the player equaling the dealer. Then, because these are linked, I don't have to worry about anybody busting anymore. Now I can just check high card. So if player is over dealer and if dealer is over player. Now, one of the drawbacks to having a linked set of if tests is because if none of these match, nothing actually happens. So it's good practice to always have an else. It does not have a test, but it's a catch-all. So if something like that were to happen, I just might say something like logic error check code, something like that. Or, just go, whoops, something happened, okay? So that's just there as a safety net just in case. So if they both bust, okay, both players bust, no winner. Okay. Okay. Now tie's a little special because in blackjack we call that push, but it still means no winner. Let me say, good morning. Let me say player wins. Let me say dealer wins. Okay, so there's all our comparisons. And we'll go ahead and run it through once, make sure it's working. 13, get a 13. Update that. Let's see, that would be 19, so I'll stay on a 19. None of my totals popped up. Okay. So player wins. Let's check these. Oh, yep. The dealer. Got the player. Those. Stay on 18. You have an 8. That's 13, so it still works. It's another player wins. Okay. So now let's look at the big outer loop. So this one is, in my opinion, the easiest. There you go. We just make an infinite loop. And I'll grab all this code. Shift it over. For the second part, just a second. Okay, so would you like to play again? Yes or no? Again, we got the 1 or 2 option popped up. And here is another break test. So if they follow the directions, this will end their code. So we do a quick run through. Okay, hit a 14. I busted. Dealer wins. Let's play again. 15, I'll hit. Now to 21, I will stay. They get a 17, and does it end the work? It does. Okay, so that's the basic code. A lot of people took some artistic liberties, so let me show you a polished version that another person did. So this one, it's got a little bit of ASCII art up here. It's got everything spaced out so you can see everything. And notice everything's chunked. Very clearly see it's got labels to see that the dealer's turn and such. Dealer won this hand, I'll go ahead and end it. But it's all very simple. It's a text-based card game. So I hope this works for you, and see you in class.